Slavery is in the Bible. You can read the Old Testament and you're not going to miss it. So I want to look at some of these verses that include slavery and really dig deep into what they're trying to say and what the context behind them is, and why most people who use them against the Bible are just completely and blatantly either lying or ignorant or misinterpreting. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Alright, so the first one, Exodus 21 verses 22-21. When a man strikes his slave, male or female, with a rod and the slave dies under his hand, he shall be avenged. But if the slave survives a day or two, he is not to be avenged, for the slave is his money. Now notice this, if the slave is killed, he is to be avenged. So value is given to the slave's life. The slave's life has value, so much so that capital punishment is required for his life, avenged. But if the slave survives a day or two, he is not to be avenged, because he is not dead, for the slave is his money. And when it says the slave is his money, what it's talking about is the economic loss of if you were to kill the slave. So this isn't condoning violence in any way. No, it's actually putting value on the life of the slave. Now, I also want to make it clear that in the neighboring cultures, rights for slaves, unheard of. It was completely uncommon for slaves to have any form of rights, and so to value the life of a slave so much so that there's capital punishment if the slave is killed, it was pushing towards the better treatment. Now again, looking at the verse from a Near Eastern context, it's not divine endorsement of violence. No, it's placing law, placing legal consequences on the mistreating of slaves. Alright, now let's look at Exodus 21:7. When a man sells his daughter as a slave, she shall not go out as the male slaves do. So this refers to female servanthood with the intent of marriage. You can see this in verses 8-11. Now this is a protective law to ensure that the woman would be treated as a daughter or as a wife. If she is mistreated or if the marriage is not fulfilled, well then she is to go free, not be treated as some disposable servant. So again, these are social security laws for the woman. It's not comparable to modern day slavery or sex trafficking like most people try to misinterpret and twist it to be. It's completely different. Alright, now the next one is Leviticus 25:44-46. As for your male and female slaves whom you may have, you may buy male and female slaves from among the nations that are around you. You may also buy from the strangers who sojourn with you and their clans that are with you, who have been born in your land, and they may be your property. You may bequeath them to your sons after you to inherit as a possession forever. You may make slaves of them, but over your brothers, the people of Israel, you shall not rule one over another ruthlessly. So this passage regulates non-Israelite servitude, which was commonly global at the time. And now the command to not rule over one another ruthlessly is it's a general principle of fair treatment among one another. Now the term property reflects ancient legal language, but that does not mean inhumane treatment, not at all. In fact, there are several verses which show that even the servants, even the slaves, had fair treatment. Deuteronomy 5:14. But the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, you or your son or your daughter or your male servant or your female servant or your ox or your donkey or any of your livestock or the sojourner who is within your gates, that your male servant and your female servant may rest as well as you. Exodus 23:12. 6 days you shall do your work, but on the seventh day you shall rest, that your ox and your donkey may have rest, and the son of your servant woman and the alien may be refreshed. So we see that the servants are given the same Sabbath rest and moral treatment as others, okay? Some of them could even become religiously Israelites, showing that it's not a situation of race. That's not at all what slavery in this time was. There shall be one law for the native and for the stranger who sojourns among you. So yeah, foreigners could become a part of Israel religiously as well. So it wasn't a matter of race. That's not at all what it was. Now it's important to know that these laws aren't prescriptive ideals. These are regulations for certain things that already were prevalent at these times. And again, even trying to compare this kind of slavery with modern slavery as we understand it is just dishonest, blatant. Alright, now the next verse I want to look at is Numbers 31 verses 17 to 18. Now therefore kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman who has known man by lying with him. But all the young girls who have not known man by lying with him, keep alive for yourselves. Now, this is a judgment on the Midianites who seduced Israel into committing idolatry and sexual immorality. So this is a one-time judgment on these people, but these are the people who are to be kept alive. Now, when people see keep alive for yourselves, they often misinterpret this as like sexual exploitation, but that's incorrect. In fact, they are more so to be taken as wives or servants. We see clearly in Deuteronomy 21 verses 10 to 14 that there is honor in taking them as marriage, and that they are even given rights as well. Okay, so when you go out to war against your enemies and the Lord your God gives them into your hand and you take them captive, and you see among the captives a beautiful woman and you desire to take her to be your wife, and you bring her home to your house, she shall shave her head and pare her nails, and she shall take off the clothes in which she was captured, and shall remain in your house, and lament her father and mother a full month. After that you may go into her and be her husband, and she shall be your wife. But if you no longer delight in her, you shall let her go where she wants. But you shall not sell her for money, nor shall you treat her as a slave, since you have humiliated her. So there's honor in marriage, there's legal rights for these women. So it's important to understand the Near Eastern context behind these things and understand that looking at it from the modern lens, it's obviously going to lead to misinterpretation. And so, in fact, the gospel plants the very seeds to abolition. We see in Galatians 3:28, there is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither slave nor free, there is no male and female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. There's several verses too that threaten masters. Hey, you better treat your slaves justly. Masters, do the same to them. Stop threatening, knowing that he who is both their master and yours is in heaven, and that there is no partiality with him. In fact, you can read the book of Philemon in the New Testament. Paul is addressing Philemon about his slave, and he is asking him eagerly not to take the slave back as a slave, but as a brother in Christ. We see in verse 16. Let's read 15 to 16. For this is perhaps why he parted from you for a while, that you may have him back forever, no longer as a bondservant, but as more than a bondservant, as a beloved brother, especially to me, but how much more to you both, in the flesh and in the Lord. And I love this, verse 18, if he has wronged you at all or owes you anything, charge that to my account. Paul is urging him, don't take him back as a bondservant, but as a brother in Christ. For people who say that the Bible condones slavery, they are absolutely misinterpreting, or they just don't understand what's actually being said in these passages. I know that at surface level it might look a little distressing, but all it takes is looking further into it to find out the true meaning behind these passages and understand that they do not condone unjust slavery. So thank you all for watching. I hope you learned something here. That's going to be it for this one. God bless.